And welcome back, everyone, to Zanpakuto Theory. We're now focused on the lieutenant of the 5th Division, the 5th Division's lieutenant, Momo Hinamura. Hinamori, I think it is. I think it's Hinamori? Momo, one second. Momo Hinamori, yeah. And her Shika, and her Zanpakuto, Tobiume. So, we know what Tobiume looks like. We know what it does. We know what its name means. So the question we're doing today is, just on our Zanpakuto theory, speculation, all that. What is Tobiume's Bankai? Now, I've seen people kind of go into the Reddit and more or less kind of give the same idea I have about it, that it turns into a tree of some sort. But I want to expand on that a little bit. So first up, what is Tobiume and what does it do? Well, Tobiume is the Shikai of Momo. When she does the release command snap, it turns into this. It turns it basically into a straight blade, but with pronged blades coming off the end of the blade. Used to apparently only have 2 of those prongs. Now it has 3, which implies that it gets more as Hinamori grows and gets stronger. The name Tobiume means flying plum tree. And I think it's very apt that A, it's a flying plum tree. B, it's got little blades branch off like branches, making it look similar to a tree branch. And the release command is snap, meaning you snap a branch off the tree. So there you go. Its ability, frankly, isn't all that impressive on its own. It conjures fireballs, and she can fire them at people, which is interesting because as the Zanpakuto is a representation of you in your personality, in your soul, basically, it is a physical representation of you. It's interesting that Tobiume is actually more of an aggressive Zanpakuto than what Momo's personality really kind of indicates. For all we can tell, she's a very sweet, very concerned person, but we have seen her go off the deep end a couple times and fight for what she believes. And unfortunately caused some trouble doing that. So I guess it's dependent on how you really view Momo as a person, as her personality. She clearly has enough fire in her, no pun intended, to have a more aggressive type Zanpakuto. What Tobiume is actually really good at, beyond just throwing some fireballs, is actually it chains very well with Kido. We see this in her fight with Halibel's Fraction, Mira Rose, Sun, and Apache, where she actually chains Kido with her Zanpakuto, igniting essentially a giant explosive Kido bomb in their faces that if they hadn't gone to the Resurrections, they probably would have died, or at least been seriously hurt. So Tobiume actually, being it shoots fireballs, is a Kido-type blade. But it's more of an elemental Kido, but it chains well with other Kidos. So knowing that, knowing the name, and knowing Hinamori, what is the likely outcome of what her Bankai would be? Now first off, does she have Bankai? We don't know that. We just don't know the answer to that. I would like to think that most of the lieutenants who were actually capable in trying to get stronger probably did achieve Bankai. We just never saw it. We know for a fact Shuhei did. Obviously, Rukia did and became captain. Renji did. He got his new Bankai. No, Kaku has Bankai. It's heavily implied that, at least from Kishimoto's interview, that both Izuru and Yumachika may have a Bankai, because he said he had designed Bankais, or at least knew how their Bankais would look. At least he did that for Izuru, and he brought Yumachika up in that conversation as well. So it's very possible they have a Bankai. Momo would be one I'm very inclined to think has a Bankai, quite frankly. We know Tezazayomon got a Bankai. We don't... I'm trying to think if there's anyone else that might have a Bankai. Going through all the divisions real quick. Marechia, even though he was the first video I did a speculation on, I don't think Marechia ever achieved Bankai. I don't think he ever will. He's just too much of an asshole. Nanao's Zanpakuto is very unique to her clan, so she doesn't actually have a specific one. Although, we'll eventually do a video on that Zanpakuto, because it's very likely those Zanpakuto do have Bankais. Because a Zanpakuto has a Shikai and has a Bankai. That's just the nature of a Zanpakuto. How that actually works when you're talking about an inherited Zanpakuto is very different, though. But it's more than likely they do have Bankais. Anyway, I digress. So, what is the likelihood of her Bankai? Well, there's two options I want to go with. One, the very popular one that most people tend to go with, and B, my particular theory of what her Zanpakuto actually would be, or her Bankai would actually be. So, for her Bankai, for the fan theory, she maybe stabs a sword in the ground, yells Bankai, the sword just starts to grow and extend in a giant tree, like almost like a blade, tree with either blades or, it just looks like a tree made of keto or something, pops up and just multiple giant fireballs or fly off it, just exasperating the technique of the Shikai. And that's all well and good. Kind of boring, frankly, in my mind, so why don't we up the ante on that a little bit? And I think this is actually kind of cool, because it goes a little towards Byakuya's Bankai. Byakuya's Bankai, obviously, Senbon Zakura, and then Senbon Zakura Kageyoshi. You get the one blade turning into 1,000, and then the sword disappears, and then multiple swords come up and turn into the cherry grove. What if she basically does the same thing, except hers is more like she plants it like a plant, like a tree, plants it, yells Bankai, the sword then goes into the ground, and all of a sudden, a tree grove appears basically between her and containing her and the opponent. A grove of trees. Now, it's not infinite grove, but it's one that basically that would contain her and her opponent. And it's similar to the actual sword. Like, the base of the trees are like the handle. They're made of wood or whatever substance that is in the blade. But the branches themselves are the blades of the tree. And not only can she channel Keto through these to amplify her Keto even more, but almost like a pinball machine, if you will, multiple shots of fire can appear, or as plums, if you will, fruit. Multiple balls of fire can appear on the branches, and she can fire, and they're bigger and more powerful than the standard Shikai. But instead of just shooting them at the opponent, which she could still do, she actually rebounds it from branch to branch, and as it goes, it gains more and more power. And she can do this with multiple at once. So now she's basically got this charge effect going between each and every one of the tree branches. But the bigger the fireball gets, the harder it is for her control, even in Bankai. So she tries not to go to the full extent, because once she gets to the full extent, it doesn't matter. She can't stop at this point, at the point where it gets to the biggest fireball it could make. Whereas smaller fireballs, she could negate the effect if she wanted to. That, I think, is a kind of better idea of a technique for her, because just a tree with fireballs that can maybe channel some Keto through it, that's fun. But the idea that it's a giant blade grove that can just rebound and just increase the power for every rebound it does, and she can even channel her Keto, like that Keto web she did. I can't remember the name of the Keto she did with that one. That was the explosive one. Think of a spider's web in a tree. We've seen how those look. And then basically when she sets it off with a fireball, it's immediately exploding. She can channel more Keto. Maybe that would actually be the actual true effect of whatever. Problem is, anytime I use Google Translate, it does not give me the right name or translation, because I tried typing in Tobiume in Google Translation for English to Japanese, and it does not work out well. But let me just see what grove is in Japanese real quick. Grove. Kaijuin, if that is correct. I don't know. What if I use a capital G? Oh, Gorubu. Oh, I like that. Tobiume Gorubu. Flying Plum Tree Grove. That's a really good name in my opinion. At least in my opinion. I think that's a pretty solid name. Yeah, Flying Plum Tree Gorubu. Flying Plum Tree Grove. Flying Tobiume Gorubu. That's actually I think, a pretty good name. I'll have to start doing that with these videos. At least think of the name of the Bankai when I talk about it. But yeah, that might be the actual true ability of her Bankai. Yes, it fires the fireballs just like hers does, but the actual ability, kind of like Rukia's, for example, where the ability wasn't to create ice. It was actually to reduce her body temperature to absolute zero, and the sword became an extension of that. What if that is the actual ability of her Zanpakuto, to channel Keto through it? Similar to kind of like Urahara's does. But his, I think, is more about adapting and restructuring Keto energy and Ryatsu to his benefit. That ultimately goes forth to the Bankai. What if that's her? She can just channel and funnel Keto through her blade. The Grove lets her do that indefinitely. So, Sokatsui, Raiho, trying to remember the Shakaho, she's able to just rebound and amplifies her Keto effects. I think that'd be a pretty cool Bankai for her. I think that would be pretty interesting. What do you think? What do you think her Bankai ultimately is? It's probably something tree related. After all, it's Snap Tobiume by Flying Tree. Unfortunately, it's just a branch of the tree, so the Bankai more likely is some sort of tree-based thing. But what do you think ultimately what her Bankai probably is? Let me know in the comments below. But thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. As always, you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review of it at some point. And ideas for who would win, Star Wars, superhero, magic, what if, anything we can do on the channel. Put that in the comments below as well. I'll get to that at some point. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. And I got one more video I'm going to do. So keep your eyes out for that. Later.